Good morning and welcome to the Burnside Bowling Club here in Christchurch, where the semi-finals are just getting underway of the Burnside pairs, the Invitation Burnside event, and the semi-finals that we've got is a combination of Mike Kernahan and Tony Grantham up against Craig Carter and Jeff Noel. That's one semi-final, and that's a semi-final that we will feature. You'll see there on the camera that of Craig Carter with the Methven shirts on, and the other semi-final will see the father and son combination of Matt and Mike Small up against Paul Matheson and Rodney Graney of Horswell. So those are the semi-finalists here in this the annual Burnside event. As we see Kernahan, the New Zealand high performance manager now, and you'll see it's definitely the Kernahan combination that are holding shot. In fact, those are two bowls of Tony Grantham's, which you can see just high of the jack. Perfect conditions down here in Burnside. Wee bit of a breeze, but nothing of any significance. And of course, around the greens as well will be the semi-finals of Division 1 and Division 2 as well. Other divisions we played as well, and we'll give you progress of those. I won't give you progress commentary or results, can't do that. As we watch this bolt of Craig Carter just go through the head. Now you'll see Kernahan indicating to Tony Grantham to possibly change his hand, and as we know, that's the swinger hand, the wider hand, the ditch hand. On the backhand is Grantham, and you'll certainly pay the price if you're not out wide enough on this hand for sure. Kernahan, a very, very good judge of greens and hands, and is a good bolt here from Tony Grantham. Just going to come up, lower the jack. You heard the call there from Craig Carter to Jeff Noel. You need to follow that bowl of Grantham's. It didn't look to be as wide out of the hand, but we'll see in but a moment. Looked to be on a narrower path than the Grantham bowl on the forehand, and obviously see where it finished, but obviously not happy with that bowl was Jeff Noel. We'll have a look at the head in but a moment. So here's now Tony Grantham going to the forehand, and you'll see the bowl of Noel's was very short. So this is a big starting end for the composite combination of Kernahan and Grantham. So they'll be holding at least a couple, and you don't want to, the calibre of Mike Kernahan and Tony Grantham, you certainly want to make sure you get bowls on the head. Two very, very top draw players. As you'll see, Craig Carter in the Methven shirt. The red and black and white striped, very multicoloured. So here is Carter on the backhand. And that also, well, it's on a good arc, but question how far that's going to come back with that weight. Needs to get under this bowl clean and will get past it, and was a good metre or so over. Had the line, but was running fairly quickly towards the jack, indicating there from Jeff Noel a couple of metres over. Kernahan now on the forehand, the New Zealand high performance coach. Playing in a Kitty Hawk yellow shirt. And this bowler Kernahan's just going to get a touch on the front bowler Tony Grantham's. And you hear the call there from Jeff Noel, come in underneath. The danger, of course, on that wider hand, if you try and play underneath bowls, you can get yourself into a lot of trouble. This bowl needs to draw and he'll get the back of his own bowl here. Turns it into the head and may well have turned it in for shot. slightly fortuitous really to get that result, but was a bowl and a half wide, but just got that turn at the last minute to get to the shot bowl. Here's Kernahan now on the mat. Hat's floppy, yellow shirt. Trying to get to the shot bowl through the port is Kernahan. Just going to dip under the line. You can see playing with that. He got onto the Grantham bowl, turned that through the head, but won't be enough, I wouldn't think. Tony Grantham having a look on the head just to check. And it's one to the Methven, as I'll call them, the Methven combination. 15 ends. And I think the time limit is 2 3/4 hours. So it was the one, as we said. Craig Carter just got that fortuitous touch on the bowl. The lead, Jeff Knoll with the lime green bowls. Jack's been delivered. And the other semi-final, as we said, that between Matt and Mike Small of the Burnside club here in Christchurch. And they're up against the Paul Matheson, Rod Graney combination of Horswell. And we'll be able to keep you up to date with that as well, because that game is right alongside us. So here's the first bolt of Grantham's after seeing the Jeff Knoll bowl just go through the head, and it'll finish just lower the jack slightly. A bowl jack low is the bowler of Tony Grantham's. Jeff Knoll with the green bowls, the limey green bowls, gives it the heel kick. That's tight. You can see that out of the hand. That was always going to be tight. If you play under the line here at Burnside on these Maniatoto greens, you will very quickly pay the price, as we saw then. So here's the second bowler, Tony Grantham's. And on that similar line to his first, just going to finish higher the jack. But two good opening bowls from the Grantham. Of course, Tony Grantham, runner-up here in the New Zealand singles 10 days ago, and then a week ago today, runner-up to Andrew Kelly in the pairs. Andrew Kelly and Seamus Curtin running out the winners. So here is Carter now, Craig Carter. He's out on that more generous, wider hand. Got a better arc on the bowl. Not going to have the weight though to get up to the Grantham bowl. And is a metre and a bit short. Here's Mike Kernan, of course, winner of, still in fact, current world champion in the fours, won the gold medal here way back in 2016 now. Of course, the 2020 World Championships were called off because of COVID, as we see Kernahan. This is what he opened the door, and you'll pay with this fella. He's more than capable of drawing everything. Very, very great draw player. So here's now Craig Carter on his backhand, trying to reach or get to second shot. It's on a better line with this bowl is Craig Carter as it comes down towards the head. Will break now. It hasn't got the weight to get all the way down to second shot. Don't think so. I think it's still at least a couple to the Kernahan Grantham combination. And other semi-finals, I said, the father and son combination, Matt and Mike Small of the Burnside club here in Christchurch, up against the Horswell combination of Paul Matheson and Rodney Graney. As we see this bowl of Mike Kernahan's just fall into the bowl of Craig Carter's, doesn't roll it in any further, and definitely two, maybe three at the changeover, as we'll see now. Jeff Knoll just imperative on this green that you let the bowl out on that natural arc and let it to work back to the centre line. So if you don't, you'll pay for it big time for sure. There's a good looking bowl here though from Jeff Knoll. Will depend on the weight. Looks to have quite a bit of weight. Needs a bit of luck here. And in fact, just tipped the bowl of Craig Carter's. Got one roll onto it. Might only be the one shot now. Here's Grantham. Of course, plays in the Mount Albert Club in Auckland. And he's on a tighter line, but it won't hurt that, especially if he gets a touch on the jack. And just going to slide by, but that'll count for sure. That's two, both sitting jack level. So Jeff Knoll now needs to get a bowl in on that arc in towards that where that counting area is on the head. Don't know if he likes that one when he got it away. Needs to have weight to hold up for sure, definitely on a narrower line. And I need to get a bit of luck, and it's going to get the shot bowl, and yeah, it falls over, got shot, but let's say it rushed to the bowl fairly quickly and got, I won't say a fortuitous result, but they'll be happy with the result at this point. So Grantham will endeavour to reach the bowl. He'll stay on that backhand side to reach through the bowl. Touch on the jack's fine. Well, that's way under the line, that bowl of Tony Grantham's. That's what I would call the bowl got steered towards the centre line with weight. And once you do that on these Maniatoto greens, it's always going to run away. So 15 ends this semi-final of the Burnside pairs. Bit of fresh breeze up there at present. So here is Craig Carter. And he's got the bowl definitely out on that wider arc. Needs to come back inside the bowls here to get into the counting position. Will come cleanly through. He won't mind that actually. It's over the head. Any movement of the jack will certainly prevent any big number. Here's Kernahan now. Very deliberate player. Perfect delivery has Mike Kernahan on the backhand. And breaking now on that perfect line. This isn't far away from getting the right result, and the jack got the bowl perfectly. And you play with one bowl on the head with Mike Kernahan, and you can certainly find yourself very quickly in trouble. So need to play down. He's going to change his hand to the forehand. Will need to play with weight to get under that, to get down to the jack. Needs to get past this bowl, the blue bowl in front. Not going to do so. And my quick look at that, that looks like a 4-shot number after that great ball from Kernahan. Just checking is Tony Grantham. Three's the count.
Wide then.
So Mike Kernahan, you heard him saying his microphone then, make sure he stays wide, doesn't want to narrow it up and get a touch on the jack. So that second bowl of Mike Kernahan's perfectly played, and he's done just what he said, but he's not going to come to any harm here. Not going to have the weight of Kernahan, and he'll come up short. Tony Grantham had already indicated 3, and I'd just about say that was 100% correct. Out comes the measure. That other semi-final between father and son combination, Matt and Mike Small, up against Paul Matheson and Rod Graney of the Horswell Club. And it was 3, as Tony Grantham had rightly indicated. So keeping the mat back on the 2-metre mark. And it's great to have Mike Kernahan. He's got a mic on, so you'll hear Mike Kernahan throughout the game. So it's as good as having another commentator, having Mike Kernahan there. course.
Oh, yeah, but you were right in the area on a hell
So,
of a
Mike Kernan just commenting there to Craig Carter that he thought he was going to have the result there. Playing with weight to the jack. So here's Tony Grantham. Got that out on the wider side. Certainly,
brilliant, mate. Well done.
certainly two different hands.
Very good.
And that'll finish jack level about 2 foot. And Jeff Knoll on his backhand. Just need to be careful on these greens here at Burnside that you are not playing under the line, because if you do, you won't get much reward. And a metre short was the call from Craig Carter in the semi-final in 3 of the Burnside Invitation Pairs. And of course, great sponsors here at Burnside. And another good bowl here from Grantham as it gets towards the jack. Just going to get a touch on it. Covers the jack up. Well played by the Mount Albert player. Well, Carlton Cornwall player now, I believe, in Auckland. And of course on the comeback trail with that, trying to force his way back into that New Zealand reckoning. I know he's in the squad for the next training camp as we watch this bowl of Jeff Knowles. It's a good attempt. If it falls in, will make shot, and does. Well played from the Methuen combination. You'll see the bowl sitting there literally right on top of the jack. Kernahan will follow that same line. Try and sit on the green bowl of Jeff Knowles. Until now, it's now Matt Small and Mike Small lead 3-0 after 2 ends in the other semi-final over Paul Matheson and Rod Graney. Here's Kernahan on his forehand. Will be trying to reach what is the shot bowl, turn the bowl through the head. And for anybody watching, you want to watch the perfect delivery. Watch what this guy plays. Just going to touch the bowl. He does. Rolls it out of the head. 1 down. See that great control of weight from Mike Kernahan. And just not steering the bowl, just allowing the bowl to draw to the head. So Craig Carter endeavouring to, on that wider hand, draw around the bowl. Another good bowl on the head. Kernahan, he'll stay on that forehand. Now playing, of course, out of the North East Valley Club in Dunedin.
Something wrong with that, sorry.
So you heard from Mike Kernahan, something wrong with that. It certainly was. And that was called the weight in the green. Very proud dad he was a week ago last Saturday. Daughter Kate and husband now Matt walked down the aisle in Auckland, and great occasion for the family. So here's Craig Carter trying to just draw past the Tony Grantham bowl. It was a good attempt, but might just have a metre too much on, but another bowl on the head, they'll be happy with that. And of course with the short bowls out on that backhand side, just makes it very, very difficult to play down on that backhand side to get to the jack. And Paul Matheson and Rod Graney playing the other semi-final here, the Burnside pairs up against the Burnside combination of Matt and Mike Small. So Tony Grantham, he'll stay on that forehand draw side. You get rewarded here at Burnside, no doubt. You take your green, you'll certainly be rewarded. Don't take your green and you'll get penalised. And Grantham's going to come up short. You see a few green patches there on the green, just might slow or change the green pace fractionally. On the backhand though is Jeff Knoll trying to reach, just get past. That's narrow and bowl. You can see out of the hand.
Away, mate. Touch the grass. Even if you get to here is good.
So on the forehand now is Tony Grantham. Of course, runner-up here in the Somerset National singles and pairs. So a very, very good tournament for Grantham. Of course, who's been out of action as well, with just having shoulder surgery.
Very
and
good, mate.
all but makes two of it. You'll see that natural arc of the bowl. It'll come back to the centre line, but it won't come back if you try and steer it to the centre line. So here's Jeff Knoll. He's got a better green with this bowl. Needs to come inside this bowl of the Kernahan combination, and is going to finish just slightly lower the jack. I'd say 2 down. As the skips change over on this, the third of 15 ends, to play their last 2 bowls. Sun shining out here now at Burnside. That breeze seems to have just dissipated quite a bit, and looks pretty good conditions down there. But I don't know, the temperature may not have got to 20 yet. It was a bit nippy down there earlier on. So here's Kernahan endeavouring to add to the count. And again, this is on a good line. This bowler, Kernahan, as it just creeps towards the jack and sits one bowl low, but of course restricts the shot options for Craig Carter. He's trying to play with weight. Well, that's a hard shot. Drove at the head, but was off target.
Have a look at this hand, mate.
And right now we're sitting at around about 18 degrees down here in Christchurch. Kernahan coming out on that wider hand, I'd say holding 3 shots. And so if you're going to drive on this hand, you've got to certainly turn and measure was the call. You certainly can't steer the bowl with weight. You've got to let the bowl work towards the head. So here is Craig Carter. That's well under the line as well. Going to collect one of his own. You can't just... You pay the price, as I said earlier, if you endeavour to steer the bowl on this sort of green. Needed to be at least a couple of feet wider on the run. Two it was, so it's a 5-1 lead now to the Kernahan-Grantham combination after 3 of the 15 ends. And thanks to John Phillips, Harcourt's the main sponsor here, does a wonderful job within the Burnside Club. Very good sponsor. So for all your real estate requirements, don't go past John Phillips of Harcourt's. Jack's going to the ditch from Tony Grantham, so the Jack will be, and Matt will be re-delivered. The Jack will be relayed. And I can tell you now, in the other semi-final, 3 ends gone. That's the semi-final between Matt and Mike Small up against Paul Matheson and Rodney Graney, and it is 3 apiece after 3 ends. And of course there are other semi-finals going on here as well, for that of Division 2 and Division 3. They play a shorter version of the game, and then they will play their final, and we'll be bringing you the final here this afternoon as well at What time? At 2 o'clock. Very small writing for this person. So the first bowl of Tony Grantham's has gone by 1.5 meters, and now Jeff Knoll trying to get that line right. And we'll finish Jack level, but still missed that line by 0.5 metre. Tony Grantham now on the backhand. You might have heard there, thinks he might be a wee bit quick. Just going to go by, and it is. Comes back to the 2 metre mark. Mike Kernahan, though, without any shadow of doubt, one of the best draw players going around, although now not involved as a player in the New Zealand side, but the high performance manager, one of the best consistent draw players in the country for sure. As you see this bowl of Jeff Knowles just go by past the jack, just under that centre line, but will be holding shot. Kernahan now making his way back to the mat. 3-all in the other semi-final after 3 ends. Matt and Mike Small versus Paul Matheson and Rod Graney. It's the Horswell combination up against the Burnside combination, as Kernahan now playing out of the North East Valley Club in Dunedin. Delivers on the backhand. You'll see it now, come back to the centre line, and well played by the New Zealand player, and it was finished literally jack level. Sits right on the jack line into the head, so we'll see Craig Carter play what I would say the more challenging hand. Needs to get out right out on that arc. Jeff Knoll looking keenly at this as it got the weight to get all the way down to where the Kernahan bowl is. Just going to fall a couple of bowls low. Mike Kernahan will stay on his backhand, just come past the blue bowl there of Craig Carter's, slide past it to get to the head. That's what it'll be endeavouring to do on its way on the backhand. And certainly on that good arc, see the Tony Grantham shirt, they're just blowing around there. And that bowl of Mike Kernan's had a similar line to what his first was, but certainly got in your head, Mike Kernahan there about the breeze. Yeah, right at the wrong time, got the breeze, it sure did. I have to agree with you there, Michael, but this bowl of Knowles needs to get a bit of luck under the line, won't do as short. And of course that's now starting to make that hand difficult to get around the bowls. And it just... And Mike Kernahan saying to Tony Grantham, I'll get you to have a look at playing that hand. Very, very good judge of greens and lines is Kernahan. And of course, got the assignment along with Philip Skoglund and Peter Bellis of selecting that New Zealand side along with the paras and the blind bowlers to go to Commonwealth Games in Birmingham and in August. So busy time for Kernahan. And you watch this bowler Grantham's coming in towards the centre line, just needed weight. Certainly you might have heard Mike Kernahan say absolute perfect line. Now Jeff Knoll, his draw is in between those two bowls, the two charcoal coloured bowls out in front of the head. And I just wonder out of the hand, look to be, should go narrow, and it will. No, it's holding the lines, it's got the weight. Just had that little flick at the end. So Grantham, another one of the players that's certainly in line for the Commonwealth Games side. Very good delivery. Gets under this bowl. Gets past, turns the bowl over.
Still there, you're just underneath that.
he won't be unhappy about that, Mike Kernahan. So you might have heard Craig Carter saying to Jeff Knoll, it's still there underneath that line and between the two charcoal bowls, but it's under the line. That's going to disappear. In fact, turns one of the Craig Carter bowls into the head, but really not going to make a great deal of difference. 3-1 it is to Mike Kernahan and Tony Grantham over Craig Carter and Jeff Knoll as we come to the end of the 4th of 15 ends. And the other semi-final, to say, it's all locked up 3 apiece. 3 apiece after 3 ends of 15. So here is now Mike Kernahan holding shot on his forehand. Out on that wider side. There's a chance here for Craig Carter. Doesn't want the jack to move. That's the only thing that's dangerous. He can play through that shot bowl. He's got a couple sort of sitting around the jack, but not much in behind the head. But you can see now trying to get to that shot bowl. He's close to the shot bowl. Needs to get it clean. Doesn't want to touch the jack at the bowl. And would have made 2 of it.
2?
Definitely 2. He said he didn't want the jack to move too far, so got that. So here's Kernahan now on the forehand. Endeavouring to draw the shot, get to the jack, get to the bowl. Might get one of the front bowls and turn it through. No, he's not. In fact, gets in one of the opponent's bowls. That being Jeff Knowles, turned it in for a counter. So holding 3 is the Methven combination. On the back end now is Craig Carter. Doesn't want to be too wide and turn in one of the bowl of Tony Grantham's there, trying to get to the Jeff Knoll bowl. Might be fortunate here and sit on one of the bowls. We might. He made 4 of that. We'll just wait till it goes up, but I think that was a 4. We'll see the board change in but a moment. So here's the jack delivered by Jeff Knoll. And we'll swing round. We'll get that scoreboard update in but a moment. But right indication was it was 4 shots. So Jeff Knoll now on this, the 5th end. And I would think that was narrow. No, it's going by with weight and behind right in the centre line. And it is 5 apiece. 5 apiece after 4 of 15 ends of the semi-final of the Grenadier Burnside Stew Butter Memorial Pairs. Good ball here though from Tony Grantham.
18 inches.
18 inches lower the jack. You might have heard Mike Kernahan. So Jeff Knoll now on his backhand. Needs to get past the Tony Grantham bowl. Looks on a fairly good line. This is getting applause from Craig Carter. A toucher. Moves the jack back slightly as well. Will sit right up. Bowl will fall right over. Front toucher. Got a 6-inch movement of that jack back to where there was already a bowl sitting there of Jeff Knoll. So he'd be pretty happy with that. Tony Grantham bowl needs to be outside that of his own bowl. Not going to be so. And is going to be short. So 2 good bowls there from the Craig Carter lead, and it's Paul Matheson and Rod Greeny now leading Macamite Small 4-3 after 4 of the 15 ends. And the other, that being the other semi-final here at the Burnside Bowling Club. As you see, this bowler Carter's, he's got it out on that wider arc. This looks a good bowl. This bowler Craig Carter that comes towards the head. Now going to sit right on top of what is the counting bowl. That's a good start from the Methven combination. Mike Kernan quickly into his work on his forehand. Needs to make sure he's past the Tony Grantham bowl. Not going to do so. You'll see just nipped his green slightly. And more than likely needed just a couple more feet away. So can now Craig Carter take advantage of this. And he's not out wide enough. You saw immediately when he let the bowl go. He didn't think he was out wide, but he's wide enough, but he's got weight on and will go by. Doesn't want to touch the jack. Certainly a better bowl than what he thought it was.
What do you want?
I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see Kernan attack with some weight here down onto those two bowls on the angle. There's a chance that they may well go out of the head. They're on a line if they made good contact with them. Here's Kernan on the backhand drive, trying to get to the two bowls. He's close to getting something. You get it off that onto the other ball. He ran onto the bowl, just got the back of the bowl, took his own bowl out, and that was a wee bit off target, but not far away, and more than likely leaves himself at this point 4 down. But, of course, a lot of bowls to come. And it's our pleasure to bring you this live coverage from the Burnside Bowling Club here in Christchurch. Next weekend, we will be live from Taranaki, where we'll be bringing you the semi-finals and finals of the 117th. I think it's 117th, if I'm wrong. I know Mr. Grant Hassel will be on my back very, very quickly. I'm saying 117. Taranaki Open Fours, which gets underway around the greens of Taranaki tomorrow. He doesn't want to open this target up, does the Jeff Knoll, and I think they're committed to try now and get a bowl somewhere near the head, because I think they'll be looking at 5 down. And here's Grantham on the drive, going for the target. He could get the whole 3 on the cannon here. Got the jack, well played. Jack will stay alive, I think, but it was always on. You'll say the golf ball being moved out still.
Yeah, I got a couple here down here.
Still holding 2 shots.
That's all right. No, it was round the other way.
And the toucher remained alive. Mike Kernan just unaware it was a toucher. And we watch this bowler, Jeff Knowles. Needs to get past all these front bowls. Might do so, not
What way that is?
but a long way away. You can see the golf ball marker there,
Behind the ball, mate.
right by Mike Kernahan.
A wee bit heavier down there.
And Mike Kernan correctly saying to Tony Grantham, it's a wee bit heavier down there, and it is. You can see that. You might be able to see on your screens is a rather thickish green patch on that hand, and that just alters the speed. And you'll see the bowl will pull up. You don't think it's going to, but it will. And Tony Grantham's bowl will pull up. But more than likely, this might be second shot. There's definitely a good difference, a yard of pace on that side of the green. The ditch hand, there's some lushness there in that Maniatoto on that ditch side of the green, but right just coming past that spate sign, and it definitely just gives you a wee bit more margin of error on the pace. Very distinctive green patches you'll see just in front of the bowls, and so Craig Carter is going to play on his forehand. And going by, I'm sure we'll see Kernahan. He'll back himself out on that backhand side of the rink. One of New Zealand's best draw players, without any shadow of doubt. Now, how much is this going to pull up towards the ditch? It looks as though it's flying, but it's not. In fact, you'll see if it gets to the mark. No, you can see that. Yeah, I tend to agree with what Craig Carter just said there, that he thinks it's a better hand to play. Let's see. Now as it comes up past these front bowls, needs to get through this port. If it gets through the port, it might, no, it's not going to pull up on the green stuff. And Tony Grantham checking. So you heard Tony Grantham say there that they reckon that they have got the shot, that being the bowl of Tony Grantham's. It's set directly out in front of the golf tee. It's close. Remembering the Tony Grantham bowl is on a direct line to the jack, and the call to Mike Kernahan is just to beat that bowl, and he'll certainly have shot. And he's out on that good. Now whether it will come back from there, it's really unknown. Coming back now, if it gets past this bowl, it will certainly be the shot. Won't do. You can certainly see that weight difference for Surya on those two on that hand. So they'll quickly bring it around, bring that tape around, and it's now 5-3 to Paul Matheson and Rod Graney. 5-3 after 5 ends. They lead the Burnside combination, and it is 1 to Kernahan and Grantham. Good eyesight there from Tony Grantham. Put the measure out. And of course a big thank you to Tamara and Melissa. You're sitting at home watching, wherever you're sitting. They're the people that are running this TV studio. Tamara looking very serious. No, she just smiled then, so that's okay. We must be all right. And Tamara and Melissa, they'll be with us next week in wonderful Taranaki, bringing you coverage of the Taranaki Open Fours. And of course we did see some of the favoured combinations not quite get their way through. Joe Edwards being one of those who really lost out to Craig Carter on differential. Craig Carter lost his last game to Regan Larkin, but remembering of course that Craig Carter defeated Joe Edwards yesterday. So that came down to differential on that particular end, section 4. Craig Carter winning the section on differential. Matt Small also against with Trevor Drake. They were both 2 winners, but it was the differential and Matt Small that took him to win the section. And Paul Matheson, of course, he had a draw in his 3rd game to give him 2.5. So that put the Paul Matheson Rod Graney combination through, and Mike Kernahan, he went through unbeaten. So that's the 4 battling it out here at Burnside for the very, very prestigious Stu Butter. I'll always call it the Stu Butter pairs in memory of Stu. And good to see his son, a bowl here from Grantham, right down in front of me here, draws jack level. Nick, who now lives in the Queenstown area, the son of the great Stu Butter, playing here. In fact, was playing with Shannon McElroy, who failed to qualify. McElroy, who I'm sure will be very much part of that New Zealand Commonwealth Games side, who see the bowl of Jeff Knowles pull up very short, and He'll be very keen. Well, McElroy, the current world singles player, of course, world singles champion, he'll be keen to get on the medals in the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham, because remembering, of course, as far as the men are concerned, the Commonwealth Games, the man with the bowl in his hand now, Mike Kernahan, in 2002 at Manchester, won a medal for New Zealand. Kernahan, in fact, is the last New Zealand male to win a medal at the Commonwealth Games. Not so for the women. They've had more luck than that. So the men's side, which will be picked shortly, and I'm sure Shannon McElroy will be part of that side, we're very keen to break the hoodoo, not having a medal. 6-5, Kernahan and Grantham leading Craig Carter and Jeff Knoll, and Tony Grantham holding the shot with the bowls sitting just lower the jack. Second shot is the blue bowl of Jeff Knowles, which is jack level. Kernahan again looks on a good line. This bowl of Mike Kernahan's, it breaks towards the head. This will make two, sits just in behind the jack. So Craig Carter now try to slide under the Jeff Knoll bowl. Difficult shot on these Maniapoto greens, because if you do miss your green, you can certainly get into all sorts of trouble. Going for the jack, it just goes by, dislodges one of the bowls, or still pushes the Kernahan bowl in behind, right to the centre line. Kernahan will still be laying two shots. So the skips change over on this, the 6th of 15 ends here at Burnside. And wonderful job as well done by Jamie Ferris, the greenkeeper here at Burnside. Doing a wonderful job with the greens as the new greenkeeper, and certainly presented these Burnside greens in outstanding condition. As we see, this bowler, Tony Grantham's going to come about a metre lower the jack. Be interesting to see now.
Well, they are a metre short. You can just sneak round those.
Yeah,
Try one.
That's the right call, I think, from Craig Carter. The bowls are a metre short. You can get past those to the counting area. Any movement of the jack is also in favour of the Methven combination.
Yeah, just got a wee bit of weight on it.
Just quick.
Get past
there.
your own, you're good.
So you heard Mike Kernahan saying to Tony Grantham, who are holding two shots, just get past your own bowl and it'll be in a good position. Because the danger is you get short bowls on this surface and you try then and steer the bowls towards the head.
Well done, Tony.
And Grantham drawing a third here as a finish.
Yeah, well, you can play that
jack
now,
level.
sit those two bowls.
So play that same weight as the call from Carter. Here now, it's Jeff Knoll trying to play down
Not
with the
those
weight
two, these ones.
to reach these two bowls. Gets the Grantham bowl,
no.
got the jack, and that
Still one down.
one down. But a slice of luck then was certainly off target was Jeff Knoll, but managed to collect on the way through. And the shot bowl of Tony Grantham's with the silver fern on it went through the head. But certainly not three down as they were Craig Carter and Jeff Knoll. Jack's been moved right off that centre line. Here's Kernahan now on the forehand, playing down towards the car park area here at Burnside. Has it got the weight to get all the way past the blue ball at the front? No, it needs a metre. And you'll notice, as you'll see, looking at right now, you can see very much some green areas there. Thickest green areas, which certainly alters that of the line to the jack. Well, here's trying to get to the shot bowl and goes by. 2 seconds there has Craig Carter playing through the port with weight to try and dislodge the Grantham bowl. He certainly got 2 seconds to the shot bowl. Mike Kernan will try and improve by a metre. You'll see the bolt through that green patch coming down towards the head now. Is it going to come all the way back? Breaking now. Looks as a good bowl from Kernan. If it gets all the way, yes it will. Sits alongside the jack. That's 2 shots. But you'll see, I'm sure, Carter will play at similar bowl down through that port with a yard of weight. Trying to reach through to the jack or one of the counting bowls. Going to come back from there is the Carter bowl. Looking closely at it is Jeff Knoll. Just going to go by. Goes past the head. And is 2. It takes the Kernan combination out to an 8-5 lead. Now, interesting, I don't know whether you picked it up there in the microphone of Mike Kernan, but he was just talking to Tony Grantham about those green patches that we were talking about halfway up. So what he's done, Grantham, has moved the mat quite a way up, and he'll play that hand now because you sort of avert, you miss some of that those very thick green patches. And you hear Mike Kernan talking about exactly what we're talking about.
Second camera, it just kicked out a wee bit there.
Yeah.
That's why no one's been playing much.
8-5 as we play in 7 of 15, and is now in the other semi-final. I can tell you it is 6-5 to Matt and Mike Small. 6-5 to Matt and Mike Small over Paul Matheson and Rodder Graney after 6 of the 15 ends. So there you see the Grantham bowls sitting right in behind the jack. On the backhand is Jeff Knoll, trailing 8-5. This will be under the line for sure. Great thing about this green is you can literally tell out of the hand how the green looks, how the arc looks in towards the head. And there's a well green bowl here from Tony Grantham. Will go by, and that's the playing this format appears. It's the ideal scenario. Get him over the head. Well played. There's the 2 bowls locked on top of one another and behind the jack. On the backhand is Jeff Knoll. Needs to break now.
Yeah, yep.
Needs to break towards the jack, but just because it's got weight on. And a sit in front of it. Well played by Jeff Knoll. Turns the bowl over. Sits on the jack. That's a toucher. Well played. After 2 very good opening bowls from Tony Grantham. And I saw we see Mike Kernan. He'll follow the bowl as he makes his way very slowly, does the man in the Kitty Hawks SSI shirt. I know the meaning of it all, but I'm not going to divulge it. Not the right place to divulge it. So here is Kernahan now trying to reach that shot bowl of Jeff Knowles. It's on a good line to sit the bowl, get the jack. Well played by the former New Zealand player, and of course still current world champion fours player. Just dislodged it, forces straight away for Craig Carter on that different weighted hand. Out on that backhand. Looks to have got this away pretty good. Does Carter, just going to depend on this weight to the last 2 metres. Needs to get past his front bowl. Not going to do so. Well, the Grantham bowl was certainly on a good track. Kernan will... Kernan, he's already said to Tony Grantham about the pace and line on that hand, so we'll see whether the master coach has got it right. It's out on a great arc there, playing towards the green bowl. Out here, it draws in between that with weight. Well played here from Mike Kernan. Not going to quite run though. You just see gets to those green patches and just loses that yard of weight.
No.
Not quite sure what the call was there from
Too heavy this time.
Jeff Knoll. Of course, danger is start playing under bowls. He might be fortunate here and get his own bowl and turn it into the head and get it closer. One roll closer. Did that make shot of it? May well have.
Hey? He played a really good one down there last time we played.
So Mike Kernahan giving encouragement to his skip, to his lead. Tony Grantham, you played a good bowl down there last
Well, do
time.
you want
Just do that again.
You stay on your hand, mate, because you count there. So they're not in the way.
So here Mike Kernahan saying on that forehand side, those bowls at the front of the head, they're not in your road. So here's Tony Grantham staying right down on his bowl at delivery point. It means that he should hold his line and not cut under the line. And just going to go by. You'll see it coming down towards
Well
the
done,
number
Tony.
now, and that's well played.
Oh, yeah, well, do you want to bin the jack?
And that's the confidence that you get from someone like Mike Kernahan, who said to him, you'll draw around those front bowls. Now we're going to see Jeff Knowles, a strange shot, I think, endeavouring to try and collect the jack into the ditch. Have to play with quite a lot of weight because he's got to play under the head to get to the jack clean.
No.
And that might just, yeah.
Go on, another.
Yeah, Mike Kernahan gave confidence to Tony Grantham. Just draw past those, but that's why I'm surprised that Noel elected to play the shot that he played, because you could see that Tony Grantham bowl. You see the front bowls there, providing you draw just past those, you're going to get back towards the centre line and get close to having the counter, and just going to go, just rolls into the ditch.
Rightio.
This is, I'm not sure if he's going for the jack again. I'm not sure what. Oh, now more on that draw.
Still got that drive in your hand.
Yeah, still got that drive in your mind as you heard the call there from Craig Carter.
Yeah.
And just a point out there, and it highlights to me, no disrespect at all to Craig Carter and Jeff Knoll, but it just highlights to me what the likes of Mike Kernahan and his experience shows in regards to the drawing ability and being able to draw around bowls and not trying to steer your way under the head to get to results. And that's what makes Kernahan one of the great players in my viewpoint. It's about his ability to know where the draw line is, and going to get into his own bowl here. He will, turns it in. Fell out. So we'll see here. Craig Carter looks to be going for the beer jack. Boy, that's a brave shot. Man, he just knocked another Kernahan, but in fact, they now could well be 4 down, because he ran into what were the counting Kernahan bowls. And to run the jack from there, trying to run the jack into the ditch for a one-shot result with nothing behind the head. And what's this bowler, Mike Kernahan's, just needs to sit now, and it will. Now the drive now to try and get to the jack in the ditch, and instead electing to try and draw to save here is Craig Carter. Needs to, he's going to get a great result here. He's going to get an outstanding result here.
Cut a few out of any rate.
He cut a lot out, you might have heard him say.
Sure.
He cut a lot out. I think he cut 4 or 5 out after getting into that very, very precarious position. And has he drawn the shot? Yes, he has. What a magnificent bowl from the Methven skip. Really down on the head after a wayward drive, and placing them at least 4 down, and drew the shot on this, the 8th end, to take them now 8-6. And there was a lesson in that as well. And I could hear through the microphone that
Bring it up, mate.
Craig Carter was pretty happy with that result. 6-5, it is the small combination. Matt and Mike Small leading Paul Matheson and Rod Graney as they're just about to complete what would be their sixth end.
It's going to stop. Yep. Stop.
Well done, mate.
So it's now 7-5 after 7 ends to the small combination. 7-5 after 7 ends in the other semi-final here at the Burnside Pier. So here is Jeff Knoll now playing his first after the Knoll-Carter combination got out of a whole lot of trouble in that last end through a magnificent draw shot by Craig Carter.
Yeah, all good.
Good opening bowl there from Jeff Knoll, only half a metre over. So both of these semi-finals, as we get towards the halfway mark, anyone's game at this stage, 8-6 and 7-5. So here's now Grantham.
Very good.
Brought that line in and will come in that centre line and behind the jack. It's where you want to be. And Jeff Knoll just got to adjust that line fractionally to draw down to the Tony Grantham bowl. On the forehand is the Methven player, certainly on a better line. Just the weight, needs to get the weight to get all the way down. Just took that weight off it, leaves himself a good metre short. Tony Grantham on the back end can come around that bolt quite easily. Plenty of room for him to draw around there for the Carlton Cornwall player. And is outside that bowl, as we spoke about. And will come back towards the centre line. Mike Kerner will be quite happy with those two bowls. That's what you want. Yes. Yeah, just ask him. Mike Kernan, ask him whether the story in that last end, was it 4? Yes, it was, Mike. So, again, Craig Carter down on the head. He's certainly been playing under a lot of pressure as the Methven skip. And looks to be on a fairly good line as it's coming back towards the centre line now. Towards the jack, needs to get the jack clean and does so. Well played by the Methven skip. Sits right on top of the jack. Was 2 down again. Drew the shot. And of course we'll be with you right through till the finish here at Burnside. The final of this event. We'll be bringing you all that live coverage, bowl by bowl action, right throughout the afternoon of the final of the Burnside Pairs. And as we said, Melissa, Tamara and myself will be live coverage again next weekend from the Taranaki Open Fours, semi-final and finals day to be held in New Plymouth. The big 25-end event, 117th year of the Taranaki Open Fours, and we'll be bringing you that live coverage from a green still to be determined. And here's Kernahan just searching down there on the back end, a nice trail of the jack to the, they got 3 bowls in the triangle there, played with a yard of weight but was under the line, missed the target. So it's important for Jeff Knoll and Craig Carter. See Joe Edwards sitting down there, enjoying the sunshine after losing, of course, to Carter yesterday, not making her way through to the final, her and her partner, Val Smith.
Yeah, 1 down, stay there, mate. Yeah, stop on my bowl, you get the shot.
So Jeff Knoll endeavouring to get another bowl on the head. And it's going to track on that wider side. Just depends how much weight it's got. It's going to go towards the ditch. You'll see the jack's just off the 2 metre mark. So it's a fairly full length head. Here's Grantham now. Runner up in both the pairs and the singles here at the Somerset National Championships, trying to get down to the shot bowl or a touch on the jack. Playing with weight, but is it going to hold up under the line? No, it won't. There you'll see.
Speed's perfect, mate. Very good effort.
And it's
I've got a
another.
shot.
It's another
These
bowl
two bowls here is all good.
in the catching pen. And it's important here for the Carter-Knoll combination. They get a bowl in amongst that cluster of bowls because that's where the trail shot's onto. That's going to be outside that area
You'll get it,
where
mate.
they
Make
want
the
to be.
adjustment. Your weight's good.
You'll see that there is 3 charcoaly bowls there, and that's certainly the target area for the Grantham-Kernahan combination. Tony Grantham on the mat, on its way. And he's adjusted that line slightly. Is he going to get it clean? Just goes by. Certainly hit the weight to get the right contact shot there.
No, if you had a set like
Just
the
a
bowls,
smidgen
that's what
quicker.
we're looking at.
And definitely Craig Carter, Jeff Knoll, they certainly want another bowl on the head and amongst that cluster of bowls. And Craig Carter will play in his backhand, trying to get to where that nest of bowls is. There's on its way on the backhand, certainly on a better drawing line. Needs to get underneath them. Doesn't want to find the port. Could be unlucky here and go. Oh, that's okay. Sat in amongst the bowls. So Kernahan, he won't play with the same weight that Tony Grantham played. He'll play with the, which he's so good at doing. He'll try and play with that sit and stay weight, trying to reach through the bowl. And breaking down towards the head now, just going to go by, but you can see Kernahan doesn't want to lose his bowl, just playing with that sit and stay weight. And if there's a player more than capable of playing it, it's the guy in the blue floppy hat for sure. And this line here now from Craig Carter needs to get down to these bowls. Doesn't want to fatten the target up for Kernahan. Yes, you can applaud it, but it does. This makes the target a different line now for Mike Kernahan. He can play with another yard of weight and sit through those 2 bowls. That's what he's doing. And trying to get to the bowl, spit both the bowls out of the head, and that's what was on. Just the one, I think. Well, Mike Kernahan scoring, of course, taking him to 9-6.
Bowl yours changed my shot.
Well,
yes and no. I mean, it could have gone horribly wrong.
so you heard Mike Kernahan then commentating exactly upon what had happened. As we said, it just altered his shot and gave him a better scoring chance for sure.
It was hard to get your right weight to drag that round the corner, wasn't it? It just held on you.
I was going to play it a bit quicker if you hadn't drawn another one. Just
I
so
thought you
we
might have been
line
going to
up
play it a
longer.
bit quicker, Michael.
We
Actually,
tried
to try and
four
get,
goes
get everything to play for.
Just kept doing
One
stuff.
out, yeah.
7-5. Matt and Mike Small leading Paul Matheson and Rod Graney after 7 of the 15 ends. You'll see here Tony Grantham has moved he's just moved the mat up towards, not quite to the maximum,
Lucky every now and then.
but it's a metre low of that. So here now draws him behind the jack. Good crowd assembling in here at Burnside.
That's game over.
So Jeff Knoll, great attempt here, and we'll draw the shot in behind the jack. Tony Grantham now, he'll endeavour to sit on the Craig Carter bowl. Bowl here from Tony Grantham, going to touch the jack as well, moves it around the corner and sits right on the jack. Noel now will endeavour to play that same shot, leading 9-6 Mike Kernahan and Tony Grantham. And just trying to coax the bowl in towards those 2 counting bowls. Just going to go by, stays alive. It's the one down now, rolled in between the 2 bowls. So Mike Kernan already down on the mat as we play in 9 of 15. So Kernan, he's got that nest of bowls to draw to, and just going to sit on the front bowls, leave it line 1. You'll see the green bowl, the limey coloured bowl of Jeff Knowles locked in amongst that head. (7-6) now, 7-6 it is in the other semi-final. Matt and Mike Small leading Paul Matheson and Rod Graney 7 shots to 6 after 8 of the 15 ends. So Mike Kernan there, definitely under the line. I just got a note from thanks Peter Thorne and Peter Shaw, just showing us as the Taranaki Open is about to start tomorrow, just on Facebook, displaying a photo of the famous 1984 Taranaki Open final, where it was Rowan Brassey up against Barry Drabble, and the Rowan Brassey side, Peter Thorne and Barry Greer, with up against Graham Waite, Barry Drabble, Trevor Smith and Lex Short of Manurewa, and all locked up 25 all, up 25 ends, and the players could not play any further part in the game. It was Paratutu was completely underwater, and the players mutually agreed that the title will be shared. And I think that's the only time, I think, in the history of the Taranaki Open Fours that the Taranaki Open Fours has been a joint tied event. Here is Noel trying to get down to the jack, but he's under the line. And yeah, they're great memories, a great tournament. And of course, it'll be our pleasure to be down there, of course, next week to bring you the live action from the closing stages of the Taranaki Open Fours as Kernahan draws, or Grantham draws another bowl on the head. The danger for the Carter-Knoll combination is that they endeavour to try and force their way to the head, and you can lose a lot of bowls trying to do that, as we watch Noel trying to get to the jack, gets the jack, moves it off the centre line, and we'll have shot. And let's say he'll be very, very happy to have got that result, because you can easily lose bowls trying to force weighted shots down through the head on this Maniatoto green, these Maniatoto greens. So it's a 1 as they change over to the skips. You'll see the limey coloured bowl of Jeff Knowles, which is shot with Kernahan and Grantham leading 9 shots to 6 as we play in 9 of 15. And as they play the 9th end in the other semi-final, it is Matt and Mike Small who lead Paul Matheson and Rod Graney by 7 shots to 6. So here's Kernahan trying to find the port or turn the bowl in. In fact, he's going to get the bowl, turn it through for shot. No, falls it, bowl low. On the back end there is Craig Carter. And he's got, of course, he's got his own blue bowl to play to as well, to turn that into the head. Just going to, might get through the port, and will do. That's a fantastic bowl there from Craig Carter. Drew through that very, very small hole, that gap. And I wonder whether Kernahan might try and play the same hand.
Get the blue one square and try and get the edge, or not?
Yeah, I thought we might see Kernahan here play down now on that backhand. There's a wee bit more of a target there. And it's one of those shots you can play it with confident ditch weight. If he makes contact with one, his chance of getting both of them. Here's Kernan now trying to get to the blue bowl to get rid of everything, and got rid of two of them, but great attempt from the Northeast Valley player. Got two of the bowls out. Still low lane one is the Carter-Newell combination, and Craig Carter here endeavouring to add to the head. Needs to draw now in front of the front bowls. Got the weight to get all the way. No, it won't. That's a 1. So that takes us to 9-7, 9-7 after 9 of the 15 ends in this semi-final. And as I said, another semi-final. It's all very close as well. 7-6 to Matt and Mike Small over Paul Matheson and Rod Graney as they are playing now the 9th of their 15 ends. And of course, Jamie Ferris, the relatively new greenkeeper here, moved to Burnside in the last season and is certainly doing a wonderful job with these greens. As you watch his first bowl of Jeff Knowles come down towards the head, going to go over the head by a metre. The jack's sitting right on the 2 metre mark, and it's right down below us where we're sitting here. In fact, I can see the jack right down in front of us here as you watch this bowl of Tony Grantham's, which is also, it's going to be 1.5 metres. In fact, it's 2 metres low of the jack.
We're good. 4 feet, Tony.
Yeah, thanks, Thorny, trying to be humble. Yes, I was fortunate to be part of that Rowan Brassie side that did tie the Taranaki Open Fours. I was fortunate to be part of that side. So changeover now with the leads making their way down towards the car park end here at Burnside. Perfect conditions, sun streaming down. So here's the Craig Carter bowl now. Not quite going to get, had the line, just need that metre of weight on that backhand side. Kernahan, he'll be quite happy to draw on the open hand on his backhand. 1 down on the head, leading 9 shots to 7. Will it come all the way back? No, it's not going to. Good weight to draw the shot. You know, somewhat surprised that Craig Carter is not also playing that backhand side that Mike Kernan just played. Just need to draw past the front bowl, which is quite a distance out. And you've got a good draw line into the jack. The spot of Carter's looks as though that's going to be under that line and will be. Hammett hasn't got the weight to get all the way down. Mike Kernan got a couple of feet to draw the shot in as he's on that back end, and we'll see when it comes to rest right down in front of us here. And got a different line to his first bowl.
Right in the middle of it.
And saying he's going to get right in the middle of the short bowl, which he duly did. Ran straight into it, and just that hand just clogged up slightly.
bit messy, this one.
Yeah, you're quite right. You just
Yours would have been.
heard Craig Carter say it's a bit messy. It's like the Spanish wall. There's about five bowls sitting a good metre lower the jack and sitting literally right on the draw line, and do make it very, very difficult to draw round bowls to. So going on to the backhand is Jeff Knoll, and knows he needs to really be inside. He's coming around the corner, not being behind the head, and it falls in. It won't quite count, but certainly right in on the centre line. Grantham, he'll follow, I'm sure, the Mike Kernahan line. And on its way, trying to thread the needle through these bowls, or turn over just turn the front bowl over. There's a great chance there to turn the front bowl.
Yep, you're only a foot over.
I don't think, looking at the facial expression of Mike Kernahan, I don't think he wanted that weight that was just placed by Tony Grantham. In fact, I'm sure. So, Jeff Knoll getting onto his own bowl.
Line was good, mate.
So Mike Kernahan saying to Tony Grantham the line was good, but in other words, you were too quick. So here is Grantham again. Mike Kernahan really asking him to just take a yard of weight off. Just the one down, I think, just looking out over from our commentary position, looking down over the green. And this by Grantham, must have got a bit scared. Definitely short.
Trying to draw on this side, that,
And definitely one, maybe two. Mike Kernahan was looking at that second.
Only one, mate.
Only one, you heard Mike Kernahan. Only one, leading 9-7 is Mike Kernahan and Tony Grantham.
Yeah.
Another end completed, I see also in the Matt Small, Mike Small up against Paul Matheson, Rod Graney. I see another measure out. And I see Paul Matheson with the mat. So, yeah, Craig Carter endeavouring to try and draw around the front bowls. They've heard the noise, ran into the front bowls. Yeah, Mike Kernahan, very difficult to, it's a fine line down there now to get through the blue bowl and the front bowls to get to that shot area. There's a lot of front bowls there. And how wide is that bowl of Kernahan's with the weight? Looks pretty good. This is why he's one of the best around. This is why Kernahan's one of the best around. He took no notice of those front bowls, backed himself, backed his line, and drew the shot clean. And it looks like
have we got one?
Definitely one down. And a change, I can tell you, in the Graney small final semi-final, because now I can see it's Matheson and the Graney leading 9-7 and going for the jack in the bowl. Got them both. I'd say that would be killed, and it is. Oh, it's still alive. I can't quite see. Now I get looking down. Yeah, it's definitely one to the. In fact, it could be a lot. Kernahan, key thing here for Kernahan to get the second shot. He could be 4 down here as the bowl goes past me here in the commentary position. Trying to get second shot is Kernahan, and he has done. If it's alive, I don't think it's alive.
Just in, I think.
Oh, Mike Kernahan saying just in.
No, call the umpire.
Call the umpire. Thought he might. That's up. I'm looking.
Put a mat on it, mate.
I'm looking over the top of it. Mike Kernahan says it's just in, putting the mat on it. It's
Out,
about out it is. There's a 5-shot difference. There's a big turnaround this, and it is 5. That's a big turnaround. We saw Craig Carter run at the head and to get the bowl and got the jack, and they had everything behind the head. And because Mike Kernahan then had to literally just come alive to get second shot, and it just highlights, and I'm sure Mike Kernahan saying under his breath, just highlights the advantage of having back bowls or bowls behind the head. Might have been a wee bit fortuitous in the slide to get to the shot bowl, but so the jack's been shortened for sure here by Jeff Knoll. So we've just seen two big change arounds. We saw a change of lead in the Mike Small match against Paul Matheson and Rod Graney on the 9th end, where they must have picked up a 4 because they now lead by 9-7 to Paul Matheson and Rod Graney. And then on the 10th end here of this other semi-final, the Kernahan-Craig Carter match, we saw a 5 for the Carter-Knoll combination from Methven, taking them to a 12-9 lead as we play in 11 of 15. Tony Grantham not put off with his first bowl drawn just behind the jack.
Yeah, a bit here.
And you heard Craig Carter just saying to Jeff Knoll, you're better here as the bowl breaks towards the head.
Couple of feet.
Just a couple of feet, sits in on the centre line. So Tony Grantham will be endeavouring to play another bowl to get as close as he can. Put the pressure on early.
Well done. Very good.
The changeover, and it will be 2 shots to Tony Grantham after they've been leading all the way, and Kernahan would have been exceptionally disappointed on that last end, knowing all he had to do really was to come alive to cut the count down, and just hung outside the centre line as we watch Craig Carter drawing down towards the jack. And the good bowl there from Carter. That's the shot, just sits low of the jack. You see the blue bowl and by the yellow kitty. So here now is Mike Kernahan trailing 12-9 on the forehand. Again, on a good line is Kernahan. Any jack movement would favour the Kernahan combination, but just slightly under the line. You can see with that weight, Kernahan was definitely playing to try and get some jack movement. So Craig Carter again is on that good line with Green. Don't know how the weight is though. This is going to pull up a metre short, and it will. So here now.
That weight of mine was jack level, is it?
So Mike Kernahan asking about was he jack level, and he was told he was slightly jack low with his weight. So here's now Kernahan on his forehand as we play the 11th of 15 ends, trailing 12-9. Endeavouring to draw the shot here, one down on the head, needs to get inside the bowl, just sits outside with a yard of weight as they change over. It's the Carter Knoll combination holding the shot. So on the backhand is Jeff Knoll. Don't know if he likes this one. Got a bit of a shake when it out of the hand. It looks to be on a fairly good line. How fast it needs to sit inside these Kernahan bowls, can go through the port. It'd be ideal if it did sat on one of the bowls behind the head. That would have been a good outcome. Grantham now on his forehand, endeavour to draw the shot. Definitely one down. Not going to have the weight.
he only went about a foot off.
He'd be disappointed with that bowl. I'm sure what is going through Tony Grantham's mind is last week in the final of the Peers playing with Gary Lawson, all of a sudden on the run home, he just seemed to struggle a wee bit with his weight. Seamus Curtin got onto it and really put the pressure on the. So there's a good bowl here. Again.
Okay.
Just goes through the port.
2 feet, that's all.
So you hear Mike Kernan. You want 2 feet of weight. It's only 2 rolls of the bowls there. Here's Grantham trying to improve by a couple of feet. Has he done so? Needs to get past these front bowls. Not going to. It's going to, in fact, just turned over the bowl of Craig Carter. And I'm sure it's going through his mind about that final last weekend when the back stages of the game whereby he just struggled with the consistency of that weight. The other semi-finals, I say, Paul Matheson and Rod Graney leading Matt and Mike Small 9-7 as we play the 10th of 15 ends. Back to this game now. Here is Craig Carter holding the shot.
Needs to get up there, Jeffrey.
And he's going to be
Ah,
short of weight.
close to what?
His lead, Jeff Knoll, had more confidence in the bowl than what Craig Carter had. Craig knew as soon as you let the bowl go that he was short of weight. Kernan now on the forehand will be endeavouring to play that natural draw arc that he gets in his bowl. Breaking towards the head now. Looks like a good bowler, Kernan's. This is going to sit on the bowl. This has got to be the shot.
Am I better on the other hand
The
now?
call. They've still got the shot. But Mike Kernan was only 1 roll away from getting the shot. And, of course, now for Kernan as well, a touch of the jack leaves him with 3. So Craig Carter sensibly has stayed out on that, endeavoured to stay out on that wider line as it comes down towards the jack now, and it'll be the shot itself. Saturn, sir, you can see it there on the camera, sitting right behind the bowl. Kernan, I'm sure, will reach with a yard of weight, trying to. Difficult shot here with the short bowls in front and the shot bowl of Carter's just sitting on the jack. So Kernan here with all the work to do. He's watching this one closely. Is it going to get tangled up on the front or get past? It's going to get tangled up. He had a very difficult head to play at. And it looks like 2 to the Methven combination. Takes them to 14 shots to 9 after 11 of the 15 ends. A bit of a turnaround here. 9-7. Kernahan was leading after 9 ends, then a 5, then a 2. All of a sudden saw that scoreboard change dramatically. 11 ends gone now. As we played 12 of 15. 9-7. Rod Graney leading Matt Small. In the other semi-final, Jack's been delivered by Jeff Knoll right down to the 2 metre mark. So here is Knoll with the limey coloured bowls on the forehand. Trying to encourage that weight is Carter. Going to finish just lower the jack, about 14 inches. Grantham on his backhand. Just going to stay wide and go past. Heads down towards the ditch, but stays up on the right under that number 9. So now Jeff Knoll trying to get another bowl on the head for his skip, Craig Carter. as all of a sudden they've gone from being behind to having that 5-shot lead. Lower the jack is the second bowl of Jeff Knowles. Grantham now just needs to bring his weight back by a metre. Plenty of room to draw. It's on a good arc, this bowl of Grantham's. Coming down towards the head now. Needs to get under the bowl of Knowles. Run straight into it. Now the Knowles bowl is sitting jack level right on the 2 metre mark.
Only played one, sorry. Only played one.
So the scoreboard about to change as well in the small game, the small V Matheson-Graney combination game. And I'll just see it again go in favour of Paul Matheson and Rod Graney. Just saw the scoreboard change then. I'll give you that update. There it is, 10-7 now. 10-7 after 10 of the 15 ends. So here is Craig Carter. He'll be happy with that bowl in behind the head down towards the Tony Grantham bowl. Kernahan will play on his backhand now, trying to play inside the Tony Grantham bowl, reach the shot bowl or sit to the jack. On the backhand is the Kernahan bowl. Looks on a pretty good line, needs to come now. Get a slide off that front bowl, he will, gets the jack, that was always on, sits alongside it. That shot was always on. Some might say it was a bit lucky, but that shot was always on. It was always in the target area. So here now, Carter staying to his hand, trying to get down to the jack. And he's on a good line to get to the jack. If it moves back now, he can get a touch on the jack on the drag. He's going to do just that. Look at this superb bowl from Craig Carter. Draws the jack right back to his own bowl. Laying 2 shots. Kernahan now will come down on the backhand. He'll be reaching with a yard of weight through those 2 front bowls, trying to get to the jack, sit on the bowls, on its way, on the backhand in the Kitty Hawks yellow shirt. Just question, is it going to come back all the way with that weight? Coming back now, might get the green bowl in front and gets that jack. Have a look at that for a masterclass. So with controlled weight, Kernan came down under those bowls and drew right to the jack. Well played by the North East Valley New Zealand high performance coach. Played that very precise line. And, you know, as well, compliments. You see that head there. That also gives compliment to the greenkeeper, Jamie Ferris, because it's a green that you can certainly play all the shots on,
put another one on the head here.
with confidence.
Put another one on the head here.
So Jeff Knowles saying to his lead, Craig Carter saying to his lead, Jeff Knowles, put another bowl on the head. Don't go flying, don't go attacking things just yet. So here is Knowles on the backhand, 10-7. It is Paul Matheson and Rod Graney leading Matt and Mike Small in the other semi-final here after 10 of the 15 ends. There's a good bowl here from Knowles, going to sit down in front.
All good.
That's another bowl on the head. That's what they wanted, did the Methven combination. Grantham now going to the forehand, out on that wider hand, playing through those green patches on the dit side. He's got the bowl out on a good arc. How far is it now going to come back? It's got a lot of weight on it though, and will go down towards the ditch.
Yeah, you only want a foot.
So only want a foot, does Craig Carter say to Jeff Knowles.
Well, if you're going to push it through, you've got to come down here.
Yeah, it's...
Yeah, you come down between that gap there, enough weight on, you split those, you push that out.
So you heard that call there from...
If we lose all ours, we go 2 down.
Craig Carter. If we lose all ours, we go 2 down. Depends the weight that he plays here by Jeff Knowles. Trying to play, it looks to be wide. Playing down through those bowls. Needs to get to his own count, well, not counting bowls, the front bowls. Doesn't do so. And that was more than light. That to be fair, I agree entirely with Craig Carter. That was the percentage shot for sure. To play to his own bowls, trying to play to a 1-bowl target on the other hand. Here's now Tony Grantham playing his last bowl on the 12th end. Certainly adjusted the line. This looks a better bowl here from Grantham. How's the weight as it gets down to the counting bowl? And that too is going to disappear into the ditch. All of a sudden, we've seen a bit of a change here whereby, although they're down on their head, the Carter-Knoll combination, they've got better heads to play to over the last few ends than what Mike Kernahan and Tony Grantham have had. So there's the... I hear that chuckle from Kernahan. Right, I know him well enough to know what that chuckle means. But so here is now Craig Carter. He'll endeavour to play that shot that Jeff Knoll all but got onto on the back end, trying to play down to those coloured bowls as the greens, and too much weight on the outside. Oh, he was very heavy really, and I think Kernahan would just be happy to be able to score. Should Carter miss with his last bowl, I think Carter was really might have to be too much weight there with his first bowl. So here's now Mike Kernahan. This is the captain class now as he breaks inside their head and will get under those bowls. It's going to make two of it. So he's now saying drive the bowls. So it's on its way, trying to drive the outside bowls. Hard shot indeed. So Mike Kernahan again will draw down on that forehand side. We played so well just a moment ago. He's got the bowl out again on a good green. But is it going to come back all the way? He's certainly got this well weighted towards the target area. He's done it again. Two magnificent bowls from Mike Kernahan. And his three, that got them right back into the game. Right back in the game. Magnificent bowls from Mike Kernahan. Jack right back on the 2 metre mark. And I'm picking this is going to see the Jack as well, right down towards the 2 metre mark as well. Jack's been delivered. And it's not going to be towards the 2. And Mike Kernahan encouraging the Jack to get down to the 2 metre mark. It's going to be a metre low of the 2 metre mark. And Mike Kernahan pretty happy, I think, with those two bowls. So Tony Grantham with his first, trailing 14-12 as we play the 13th end of 15 here in the semi-final of the Burnside Stu Butterpears here, the 2022 Stu Butterpears here at the Burnside Bowling Club in real sunny conditions here. And of course, thanks to John Phillips from Harcourt's, major sponsor of this event, has been involved in this event now with the club for a number of years. So we can't run these events without people like John Phillips. So thank you, John, for your continued support. Here's Grantham on the mat, on the forehand, trailing 14-12 as we play the 13th end of 15. And needs to keep coming as rightly called by Mike Kernahan. And there it finishes lower. The Jack just slightly a bowl low. So Jeff Knoll wanted to improve greatly on his backhand side than his first with the lime coloured bowls, the lime green bowls on its way. It's on a different line and weight. No, he's not going to. And this is where the effective bowls, this is where this back end of the game, they become so important. Craig Carter changes over and really nothing on the head for him. Jeff Knoll, he'd be disappointed. 10-7, Paul Matheson and Rod DeGraney leading their match as they play end 11 of 15. Here's Mike Kernahan now on the forehand, holding two shots, trailing 14-12. Just slightly under the line will Kernahan be, or sit on the cover area around these other two green bowls. Goes by about a metre. Plenty of room there for Craig Carter to at least draw a second shot. Here is Carter on the forehand. Certainly out on that wider side. And looks to finish Jack level. Slightly.
We got one, haven't we? Yeah.
2 bowls lows. The call there from Tony Grantham is that last bowl of Craig Carter's. Definitely the Grantham Kernahan combination holding shot. Here's Kernahan now on the backhand. He fancies himself to get under these bowls of Jeff Knowles. Or through this port. Is he going to get through the port clean? Look at this. Look at this from Kernahan. Drew through those 2 green bowls. Through that gap. Drew another counter. And now pressure right on Craig Carter as he plays his second bowl. And this needs to break fairly quick. So now all of a sudden as they change over again, pressure certainly on the Methven combination.
If you want. Yep. I'm happy.
And I see Paul Matheson with the mat again as another end comes to a completion in the other semi-final. Paul Matheson and Rod Graney up against Matt and Mike Small. I just see Paul Matheson with the mat. I'll give you that score. It's a 1. So now it's 11-7, 11-7 to Matheson and Graney. 11-7 over Matt Small and Mike Small after 11 of the 15 ends. Here now is Tony Grantham following that line. How's the weight as it comes down towards the... Here the going away from the centre line, but will still count.
Well done, mate.
Sits Jack level. A lot of pressure here on Jeff Knoll. He's got to get something close on the back end. 3 down is Knoll. Ooh, he gives that a kick in the shovey. Does he think he's too heavy? Looks to be fairly quick coming up this way. Needs to be breaking in towards the head now to have any chance, and not going to. In fact, got a slide. Got a feather off the bowl. He was going pretty quick. Pushed the bowl out half a bowl, maybe 4 now. Here's Grantham again with his last bowl on this, the 13 to 15 ends on the forehand. And he's got the bowl out on that very good arc towards the counting area. Yeah, Mike Kernahan likes this. He's going to break under the blue bowl of... It does, and it's going to sit right down towards the jack. Now the pressure's on. Pressure's really on. Jeff Knoll here needs to get something close on the head, even if it's second shot for a skip. Craig Carter as they change over on the 13th end. On its way, on the backhand. Certainly got a different line. And unfortunately, though, is the line going to hold up to the jack? It's on it, going to break now, and it's going to break under the head. Big trouble here for the Methven combination. They don't have a bowl within 2 metres, or 1 bowl within 1.5 metres of the jack. 1, 2, 3, 4, I think I can count there. And Jeff Knoll, he'd be really disappointed there, leading 14-12, but facing a big number here as we play end 13 of 15. Kernahan straight away onto the mat. And I can tell you on the forehand, Mike Kernahan would love to get a touch on the jack here. Just move it a few inches, 6 inches around the corner. And he's holding a big number. So here's Kernahan now. A touch on the jack would certainly make life very difficult for the Methven combination. Is it going to come back all the way, this Kernahan bowl? Yes, it will. Breaking now towards the jack and the centre line. Gets that touch on the jack that we spoke about. There it is. That's this guy at his best. Charging at the head now is Carter. Got nothing, obviously.
Back, hadn't I?
1, 2, 5, 6. You might have heard Craig Carter said, I won't get it. So that's a confidence booster. How do you feel now? Holding 6 is Kernahan, trailing 14-12 on this, the 13th end. Craig Carter already said, I won't hit it. Well, of course, Carter on the drive just has to get underneath that lime green bowl.
Out, mate.
But
Out.
this all highlights that the bowls off the front from Noel didn't really give.
I like the backhand drive better.
So on the backhand to drive. So here is Craig Carter on the backhand, on the mat. The Methven player looked to twist his hand.
No.
He twisted his hand right at the start. You saw it. Just a slight twist of the hand, and that's where the bowl went. Steered itself under the head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. 6 it was. That was on a touch on the jack from the Master Kernahan.
No, it's only 13 ends, so I thought that was a 14th end.
And it's going to,
No, I won't.
13 ends gone, Michael. Yes, that's correct. And well played there. Just highlights the end before they scored. When they scored that 3, that was 2 bowls of Mike Kernahan's. That was the difference. He drew round bowls to make the shot. And then that end there, sure, they were holding the shots. Badly played by the Methven combination. They just couldn't get bowls on the head. And Craig Carter was he had to drive, but then Kernahan showing all his class, just got that touch on the jack, moved it back a few centimetres. We've seen of course we saw on the 10th end, we saw the Carter and Knowles combination score a 5, then a 2 to jump out to a 14-9 lead. We then saw on the 12th end a 3 to Kernahan, tightening it up to 14-12, and then a 6 then on the 13th end, which take Kernahan now to an 18-14 lead as we play this end 14-15. So Tony Grantham's first bowl goes by a metre. 11-7. 11-7 it is. The combination of Rod Graney and Paul Matheson leading Matt and Mike Small. Here's the first bowl now of Jeff Knowles. It's going to finish lower the jack. He'd be pretty disappointed with Noel after that last end. Really didn't get a bowl on the head.
That's why I was going to go and talk to him about where to throw the jack, but it's only 13.
So here's Jeff Knoll. He's got a metre to draw the shot in. I need a couple here to do the Methven combination to keep this final really with a chance. He's going to be short. Jeff Knoll, he'd be kicking himself for these last 2 ends. He's really sort of just struggled with the weight. Line's pretty good there. There's the ladies sitting in the sunshine here at Burnside. Thank you. Thank you to Gay Bunting once again for the cheese rolls. Another year of delivery. Well done. Always get looked after here by the ladies at Burnside. So here is now Mike Kernahan leading now 18 shots to 14. And plenty of room here on the head. And, well, Kernahan be really, really disappointed with that. That was a long, long way short.
Not there.
You both threw one out there. It's not good, is it?
Oh, there's followed by Craig Carter. He didn't want Mike Kernahan's bowl to feel lonely. I'm sure, though, we'll see Kernahan adjust with his second bowl, and he's got it out on that nice wide arc, knowing that the bowl will work its way back to that centre line. And it does, and it'll finish lower the jack, half a metre lower the jack, but still plenty of room, though, for Craig Carter to draw the shot. And he's got the bowl out this time on a far, far wider line. And don't think it'll come back from there. Certainly had better weight, but won't make its way all the way back. 11-7. 11-7. It is Paul Matheson and Rod Greeny leading Matt and Mike Small as they play in 12 of 15. And the board is about to change.
Pardon? Well, we've been in and out of it.
And I just see the jack being moved in that other semi-final by Matt Small. And see what happens here. There's a clothesline required by the look of it. But it's definitely the Burnside combination that have scored. So here's Tony Grantham. He's going to be short as well. Now, for this Craig Carter-Knoll combination to have any chance, Jeff Knoll has to get the shot with one of these two bowls. Must get the shot. And he's certainly out on a good wide arc. How far is it going to come back as it comes down towards the centre line? Might hold on for shot. And not sure it's over the head, half a metre. And it would still be the front bowl, the Grantham bowl, which is shot as I look down on the head from here. And he's going to get just by Will Grantham, and that's it. Not sure whether it might be two. There's still a metre really for the shot to be drawn. So Jeff Knoll needs to finish just inside his last bowl, well, inside the blue bowl of Craig Carter's. It's on a pretty good line. This is in the target area to count. So watch it break down towards the jack now, and that'll certainly be shot. Just finishing literally jack level, about 10 inches away from the jack. So change over. 18-14 it is. Kernahan and Grantham leading. 12-11 now. 12-11 it is to Matheson and Greeny over Matt and Mike Small. And it's 12 ends gone of the 15. So here's Mike Kernahan now. One down on the head. Leading though 18-14 as we come to the back end of that of the 14th end. So here's Kernahan. He'll try and reach down to that bowl, shot bowl. Not going to do so. In fact, is way under. He'll be disappointed with that. With Mike Kernahan, there was a nothing bowl. And here is a chance for Craig Carter to draw another shot. Interesting. He's going. Yeah, I think the scoring chance of him is on the backhand. Just I think a kinder hand at the finish. On the forehand though is Craig Carter. We'll see in a moment. It's got a bit of timber that's got to get through. That's only going to collect the Grantham bowl, and but pushes it right through the head. So Mike Kernahan will try and make amends with this, his last bowl on the 14th end. One down on the head, leading 18 shots to 14. Looking closer at this bowl's Kernahan. Got it out on a wider line. Needs to be under the port though, I think, to get to the bowl. Going past with weight, won't get to the bowl. So the shot here for Craig Carter. Ideally he wants to make two of it. And what they're saying, turn the bowl over. It's 11 all. My apologies, 11 all in the Paul Matheson Rod Greeny game v Matt and Mike Small. It's 11 apiece after 12 of the 15 ends. No change here. That'll be the one to the Methvin combination. So that takes us to 18-15, 18-15. And anything could happen because we've seen a 6 to the Kernahan side on the 13th end, and of course a 5 to the Carter side on the 10th end. So sure, there's 3 the difference, but anything can happen. So Jack's been delivered down towards the Avonhead Road end here, or Avonhead shopping end here at Burnside. Shorter length head here. It's a good couple of mats short of the 2 metre mark. So here is Jeff Knoll playing his first.
Yeah, very good.
Good opening bowl here from the Methven
Yeah, that's all
lead.
good. See that?
It's about 15 inches lower the jack. He had Tony Grantham on his forehand. 11 all in the other semi-final here at Burnside. Matt and Mike Small up against Paul Matheson and Rod Graney, and we're all locked up 11 all as they play the 13th end. Grantham trying to beat the shot bowl of Jeff Knoll. Just needs to get past it. Not going to do
Good start,
so.
Tony. Well done.
Slips underneath it.
Only that far.
So you hear there, Craig Carter, you're about 18 inches lower the jack. Here's Carter, the Knoll on his backhand. The stamp of the foot normally indicates I'm a bit heavy. That's the normal thing which bowlers do.
Yeah, all good.
And it's going to
You're probably 2
finish
feet, mate.
just
You
high
beat
the
that
jack.
bowl.
2 feet lower the jack
There's
was the
good.
call to Mike Kernan to Tony Grantham. Just said you need 2 feet more of weight. Here is Grantham on the forehand. He's certainly out on that wider side. How far will it come back towards the centre line? Needs to get inside this bowl of Jeff Knowles. Not going to do so.
Yeah, right.
So, playing this last end, 18-15, Mike Kernahan and Tony Grantham, who really would have gone into this event if you're looking at a seeding format, would have certainly been the top couple of seeds along with Joe Edwards and Val Smith. They'd certainly be up there as one of the leading contenders. As we watch this bowl of Craig Carter's, just needs to get past and does so, sits in behind the jack, and that'll count. Mike Kernahan now, he'll just be endeavouring on this last end to get to second shot. He'll be quite happy to draw just either past the lime, the green bowl or the blue bowl, just get it amongst where those 2 shots are. Looks so it's going to just track slightly on the wide side, is it? How far is it going to come back? Sits outside the bowl of Knowles. So Craig Carter will endeavour to draw another counter, put the pressure on Mike Kernan, certainly on the wider side this time is Craig Carter. Don't know if it'll come all the way back as it's arcing towards the head now, but sits inside the Jeff Knoll bowl. Won't count, holding 2. Here's Kernan now, just trying to adjust slightly. He's brought that line in fractionally from his first. Out of the hand, it looked to be on a pretty good line. It was going to be short though. Good couple of metres short. And it'll be 2 shots to the Methven combination at this changeover. 2 to Craig Carter and Jeff Knoll.
Pull the jack a bit.
And you heard Craig Carter just say to Jeff Knoll, stay there, pull the jack a bit, fine. So the left-hander, you first on the mat. $11 all, the other semi-final. They had a Matt and Mike Small versus Paul Matheson and Rod Graney. And Skips are playing their last bowls on this, the 13th end. Here now is Jeff Knoll on the 15th end. Holding 2, 3 behind on the board. Just how far is it going to come back from there? Look to be on the wider side and is just going to sit on that wider side.
Yeah, you're about a couple of metres over.
And I see Graney driving in the rink next door. I see that end's been killed. So here's Tony Grantham now. Again, how far is this going to come back?
Hurry,
Certainly
mate.
out on a wider line.
Hurry.
Mike Kernan questioning the weight all
going.
the way through. Is it going to get there on weight?
Well done, mate.
And yes,
Very
it
good.
does.
Still got 1.
Still 1 shot though to the Methven
Just
combination.
draw another
because
one. You
They
get
need
the
3
head,
to
get another
force the.
shot.
They need 3 to force the extra in. So, slight alteration required here by Jeff Knoll. Just a metre of alteration. He's brought that line in fractionally. Yeah, how far is this going to come back?
Stopping there.
It's coming back towards the centre line now. Falls in, will it?
Just through.
Only
Try and
just
beat this one
through.
here, mate.
So Tony Grantham now trying to beat the bowl on the outside, which is over the head. One down on the head is the Kernahan Grantham combination, leading though 18 shots to 15. As you watch this last bowl of Tony Grantham's going to sit outside. Well, I think, is there a chance here? There is a chance to touch the jack. There's three shots on there, and I tend to agree with what Craig Carter's looking at, to try and just come past the front bowls and get a touch on the jack, because he would go with it. Not an easy shot, because you've got to come past those front bowls. And in the other semi-final, there's a replay of the 13th end, where it was killed by Rod Graney with his last bowl, and the scores are all locked up at 11 all as they have the replay of the 13th end. So here is Craig Carter endeavouring to get to the jack. This is on a pretty good line. Is it going to get to the jack? Just going to go wide of the jack, sit on one of his own bowls? Well, maybe now though. That shot is the gamble shot on that other hand, to try and play through that little port at a touch on the jack. Make four, they'll rue that end on the 13th end for sure. Jeff Knoll and Craig Carter, they dropped that 6. They didn't really get the bowls off the front. A lot of short bowls. And Kernahan, the class of the man, got a touch on the jack, moved the jack a couple of centimetres, and turned what was 3 shots into 6. Here is Kernahan again now on this, the last end, staying out on that wider side. And I think the only chance now for, he'll be happy with that. Well, Kernahan sitting amongst the bowls. And I think the only chance is on that other hand now to try and get through to that jack trail, get the inside of that bowl, move the jack across. A cannon, and Craig Carter's quite right. It won't hold up on the draw. It certainly won't hold up on the draw. It's got to be played with weight to the front bowl to try and get a slide on it, which would go to the jack, move it back to where the 2 blue bowls are and the green bowl. See there, Karen Guilford, Dale Rayner, Graham Rees having a cold cup of tea. So, to be Craig Carter playing a really difficult trail shot here. Got to be under the head through these 2 front bowls. He's close. He's close. He gets the inside of this bowl. Great attempt. Well played. All but from Craig Carter. And we've got our first finalists, and that is the side of Mike Kernahan and Tony Grantham, who have run out the winners in this semi-final over Craig Carter and Jeff Knoll by 18 shots to 15. And we'll be back this afternoon here at Burnside to bring you this final. So this is Kevin Hicklin, Tamara and Melissa, and we'll be back for the finals when they get underway.